And I think when you hear any successful person talk about their achievements, no one gets up and goes, oh, well, yeah, I worked all this out myself and then I did it all myself and how awesome am I? It's always a story of, oh, I had these amazing people who helped along the way and I wouldn't have got here without them.
You're listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with your host, Michael Palmer. Listen each week as inspiring guests share their secrets of success to help you increase your confidence, work smarter, and build a business you love. This episode of The Successful Bookkeeper is brought to you by PureBookkeeping.com, the proven system to grow your bookkeeping business.
Welcome back to the Successful Bookkeeper podcast. I'm your host, Michael Palmer, and we have, again, a very special guest who is back in a series. We're talking about eMyth bookkeeper, Peter Cook. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Michael. Good to be here again.
Yes, and listener, if this is you've jumped into this episode, this is a third episode in a series where we're diving deep into eMyth bookkeeper. And if you don't have that book, or you haven't listened to one of the podcast episodes about this, you can go to the show notes, go back to the beginning, and watch each one of those or listen to each one of those episodes. And of course, get your copy of the eMyth bookkeeper. You can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com/eMyth, and you can follow along and start incorporating this into your life and your business. And so, Peter, I want to thank you again for coming on the show and for letting us dive deeper into some of the chapters out of the book. Today, we're going to do it again and dive deep into another chapter. So welcome.
Thank you very much. Good to be here. What chapter's on your mind this week?
Well, I think a lot of our listeners are going to love this chapter because it's chapter 8, managing your bookkeeping business. You know, you've mentioned throughout the series the technician, the entrepreneur, and the manager of the business being those three key components of every business owner. Those important components of, I forget what they call them, is the trilogy of their way of being or thinking.
Yeah.
But managing is a big one, and when thought about and done correctly, it's such an important and I think often overlooked component of a business.
Yep.
Let's dive in.
Yeah, I think this chapter really encapsulates the challenge that we have growing a bookkeeping business and that bookkeepers have when they go from being a bookkeeper and doing the bookkeeping to actually grow. It's a very different skill set to then grow a bookkeeping business. And Michael Gerber, he talks about having an entrepreneurial seizure the moment when you decide to start a business. And this often happens in any industry, but in bookkeeping, somebody who's trained at bookkeeping, good at bookkeeping, and then thinks, why am I doing this for somebody else? I could do this for myself. He calls it an entrepreneurial seizure when you trade in one boss for a new boss and your new boss is a lunatic, which is, of course, is referring to when you start working for yourself. But the model that we have on this book and in this chapter, when we talk about managing a bookkeeping business, it looks at all the hats that you wear when you manage a bookkeeping business. And so there's leadership, which is, what's the vision for the business? What business are you in? Like that's where what we talked about last episode, being a business owner, that sits in that leadership box. There's then management. How do you manage all the work in a business? How do you manage the projects and the systems and the tasks? And how do you take the vision of the leader, which is still you, and turn that into reality, is management. And then there's production and marketing and sales and HR and admin. So there are seven boxes that you have to manage and 7 hats you have to wear when you're growing your bookkeeping business. And the challenge for lots of bookkeepers is they come in really good at bookkeeping. So they're great bookkeeper. You've trained as a bookkeeper. You're qualified as a bookkeeper. You're experienced as a bookkeeper. You know yourself as a bookkeeper. You're really good at bookkeeping. But the problem is now bookkeeping is only 1/7 of your job. You know, when we ask a room of bookkeepers, all right, marketing, awesome. So hands up who's trained in marketing, and no hands go up. All right, cool. Who's experienced in marketing? Who's qualified in marketing? Who loves marketing? And marketing is as important as bookkeeping if you're trying to grow a business. Arguably more important for some phases, but we're now this job that we're not drawn to, we're not experienced in, we're not trained in. And then there are 6 other boxes that are the same as that we have to manage, often that we've got very little experience and training and knowledge in how to do, or aptitude for in some cases.
It is pretty crazy when you think about it. As you were talking about the entrepreneurial seizure, I remember one time I went to a theme park, Canada's Wonderland here, and all these roller coasters and all this stuff. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, why would I want to do this on the weekend? I do this 5 days a week. It's like, I don't need roller coasters. I'm a business owner.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that could be a bit daunting for someone who's listening to this if they haven't started a business. It's like, yeah, this is the cards are stacked against you in some way, in many ways, right?
Yeah. And the flip side of that is most of your competition's in the same boat. So this was a conversation that I had originally with Debbie, who really, sales was the one she really didn't like. And she just wasn't comfortable selling, wasn't comfortable putting a price on her time, wasn't comfortable talking about money. All of that she would kind of squirm a little bit. But she doesn't to get to a good level, you don't have to be the best salesperson in the world. To be good at marketing a bookkeeping business, you kind of just need to be good enough that you stand out in that crowd. And if it's a crowd where everyone else doesn't know marketing either, you have to get good enough. You don't have to become the world's best marketer or the world's best salesperson. It reminds me of a slightly inappropriate joke about this. Is a good Canadian joke for you about
perfect.
Two brothers.
We're very
in the woods.
funny people, these Canadians.
There are 2 brothers in the woods walking barefoot through the woods, and they come across a bear, and one of the brothers starts to slowly put on his sneakers, and the other brother goes, "What are you doing? You're never going to be able to outrun the bear." And he says, "I don't need to outrun the bear. I just need to outrun you."
Right. I love it. I love it. And that's another great analogy of business. And well noted here is often, I think in another episode, you talked about the actually what you think you can accomplish in a day. You overestimate what you can accomplish in a day, but you underestimate what you can accomplish in a decade. While the other human condition is you overvalue the capabilities of others, mm-hmm. and you underestimate the capabilities of yourself, right? And that's the other piece. It can be daunting to hear this, but you have the capabilities, and everyone else has been dealt some form of a hand of cards, whether they got a bit here and a bit there. But you play the cards you've been dealt, and you're in the game.
Yeah.
That's the good news.
Yeah. And I think, absolutely. And I think the key is just to have a realistic self-audit of saying, okay, well, how if I was to rank, if I was to score each of these domains of the business out of 10, how good is management in the business? How good is marketing in the business? How good is sales? And then this is an exercise we often do with bookkeepers, is to go, okay, this is your job is this. Your job is leadership, management, production, marketing, sales, HR, admin. They're the models. And we say to bookkeepers, if you go through those 7, just score out of 10 how well your business does all of those. And low scores are good news, because you're getting the result you're getting with variability in the capacity. And a low score means you can actually improve that and get better. And so the first bit is to go actually just have a, like in the kind of cold-hearted day, just look at how well we do all of these in the business, and then get help. Like, nobody succeeds in business doing everything on their own. There are lots of people who are good at marketing. There's lots of stuff you can do to get better at marketing. There's lots of help you can get around all of this, or around running a bookkeeping business. If you're good at bookkeeping and you want to grow a bookkeeping business, then go, all right, well, what's the best way to get help in growing a bookkeeping business? Have the humility to say, actually, I mean, this was kind of Debbie and my relationship. Debbie was great at bookkeeping, didn't know how to grow a business. I was a business coach. I knew how to grow a business, didn't know anything about bookkeeping, but she reached out and said, all right, I want to grow a business. Maybe you can help. That's the bit I don't know. And then that was the bit that I could help her with.
It's definitely knowledge is power. And that's, again, the theme of some of these episodes, the thinking, right? Just that thinking right there is, now you know it. You're good at this. You've done the audit. This is where I need help. Go find the help. You can attack it and solve it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know, like, my own experience, like, if I go, okay, the things, there are things that I've achieved in business. And if you could kind of point to any one of those and say, okay, well, I've written a bunch of books and I've got some best-selling books and some different things. And how did you do that? I'd go, well, I had this mentor and this mentor and this mentor, and this person helped and this person helped and this person helped. And I think when you hear any successful person talk about their achievements, no one gets up and goes, oh, well, yeah, I worked all this out myself and then I did it all myself and how awesome am I? It's always a story of, I had these amazing people who helped along the way and I wouldn't have got here without them.
So true. And those people are business coaches. Those people are community members. I think the successful bookkeeper community, the pure bookkeeping community, these are all people. These are your people that have been there, done it. And there is someone in there. That's what's so fascinating and fantastic about finding a great community, is there's someone in there that's already solved your problem. Yeah. And there's also so many in there that need to help you, that could use your help to solve whatever stage or problem that they're at. And so it's all there around you. It's all available if you tap into it and can find the resources you need.
Yeah. No, I think that's an even better, like, when you talk about community, one of the things I've done is build a business school, which was in a different industry, but I founded a business school that was helping experts grow their business. And the thing that made the biggest difference, I think, so we had a methodology and we had coaches and we had a process, but I think the thing that made the biggest difference was a community, that if the people in our business school were now in a community of experts growing their business, then that became normal. And so if you want to get fit, if you want to get healthier, find a community of people who are trying to get healthier. Go and join your gym and be part of that community. If you want to write a book, join a community of authors who are writing books. And if you want to grow a bookkeeping business, join a community of bookkeepers who are looking to grow their business. And what that does is changes you identify with the people you're around, so that even if you do nothing else, your identity starts to shift and it normalizes the behaviors that will have you grow your bookkeeping business. Because we are so hardwired to fit into our communities, and to we evolved from tribes, from over tens of thousands of years and hundreds of thousands of years. If you didn't fit into your tribe, you died. That our tribe was how we survived.
That's serious.
Yeah, I was talking to a woman, Fiona Robinson, who's a culture expert and who's written a book called The Rules of Belonging. And she was talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where, Maslow said at the first level is survival, is food, water, shelter, and then the next level is connection, community, belonging. And she said that the later science has actually flipped those, and that at the base level, even more important for humans than food, water, shelter is connection. That's more important. We value that, and we will seek that before we even seek food and water and shelter. And an example she uses that I love is if you get a new job and on your first day you show up at 8:30 a.m. and you walk into the office and everybody's already there working, and you kind of sit down and go, and then you say, what time did you, to the person next to you, what time do you get in? And that person says, no, generally everyone starts at 8 o'clock here. What do you reckon you're going to do the next day?
Walk in at 8:15 with a latte.
Yeah. We're so, and it's the same, you walk into a party.
Anarchist.
Yeah. And you walk into a party, you automatically, you go, well, what's the behavior here? How do we behave here? If you're in a community of bookkeepers growing businesses, you'll automatically just go, well, what are the behaviors? What are the things people are doing? What are the questions people are asking? What are the conversations people are having? And it normalizes the behaviors that will help you get what you want.
So true. So powerful.
And so, yeah, your community, the Successful Bookkeeper community, is fabulous for that. And the Pure Bookkeeping community also serves that purpose for some people.
So powerful. The example I always remember, and I think it was Dr. Cialdini, talking about how children, let's say they're afraid of swimming.
Yep.
You can't get them in the pool to do a life lesson or a swimming lesson, life saving swimming lesson or something like this. You can't do it. They're not going to do it. But you put them in there around a pool with some of their friends, they're going to be jumping off without a life jacket on. And so we think that we're adults, but we think we're no longer children. But we're all still children deep inside. When we see others doing it, it's almost like it gives us permission. It gives us safety, certainty. If we want to fit in, we want to belong, we want to take advantage of the energy that's happening there. And that I always think of, wow, when you come in with a certain way of thinking, there's somebody that's broken through that way of thinking. There's always someone above you, and there's always someone behind you. And so seeing somebody crack 500,000 or $1 million in their bookkeeping business, it's like, wow, that's pretty cool. How did you do that? And that is going to rub off, heat transfers to cool. And so a well-run community and a community filled with great people really is worth its weight in gold.
Yep, absolutely.
So we're talking about some great things and how to achieve and succeed at these other 7 boxes. Pretty remarkable when you have mentors, community members around you, how quickly you can see that you're way further ahead than you think you are. And that's exciting. Exciting. And so I'm excited for our listener to be excited about what they have to take on to get what they want, build a business they love. Of course, we're talking about eMyth Bookkeeper. This has been chapter 8, page 63 in your book. As I mentioned earlier, you can get access to the book and all sorts of other great resources to help you grow your bookkeeping business. Go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com/eMyth to do that. And
Peter, I'm really excited about the bundle that we've put together there. So I think we've got some extraordinary amount of value and couple and resources and a couple of courses and some really cool stuff that's sitting there waiting for you. And of course, you get the book too, which is great. But we've put there's like I think over $1,000 worth of stuff for have not much more than just the book would be by itself. So worth getting there and checking that out.
And life-changing, absolutely life-changing. I mean, it's one of those things that the years that eMyth Bookkeeper's been out there and the program that people have been taking alongside of the eMyth Bookkeeper and to see people make these shifts in their life by the philosophies that are in here and what they end up having. I mean, the best time to plant an oak tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. And so wherever you are at, listener, this is the time to take action. And there's always an opportunity to optimize and grow and really build something that serves you. So looking forward to that. Peter, again, thank you for your generosity. Listener, we'll be back. Peter will be back. We'll be digging into another chapter. You'll have to stay tuned to figure out what chapter that's going to be. But Peter, really appreciate you being on the show.
Pleasure as always. Thank you, Michael.
Yes, and of course, it is our pleasure. And with that, we wrap another episode of the Successful Bookkeeper Podcast. To learn more about today's wonderful guests and to get access to all sorts of valuable free business building resources, you can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Until next time, goodbye.
You've been listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with Michael Palmer. For more information and to download the resources mentioned in this episode, please visit us at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Thank you for listening.